2 years ago, I released my Altoids Everyday Carry Essentials Kit video, which has become one of the most popular on the channel with over 1 million views, and an update has long been overdue. So I revisited the original product selection in detail, and I also went through every comment in the original video, all 850 of them as it stands now, which was a brilliant source of information and inspiration. So a big thank you to you, the fantastic community we have here on the channel. And the result of all of that is that we have this, the Altoids Everyday Carry Essentials Kit version 2. Now, most kits out there tend to be survival kits, but mine is more about reducing friction in everyday life, particularly when away from home. And as I run through the contents of this updated version, I'll explain what I've changed and why, and as usual, I'll include links to everything shown in the description down below. Okay, let's open up the new kit. And the first thing you see in here is this plastic sleeve, which contains flat items. And the sleeve is a soft credit card sleeve, which I've used on other kits before. And this one has been cut down on 2 sides, so it fits in here and it keeps everything nicely together. And in this sleeve I have some emergency cash, followed by a couple of sheets of the more durable Write in the Rain paper. One sheet has emergency contact numbers on it for when you lose your phone, and the other is to jot something down or to leave a note. There are also a couple of band-aids or plasters in here and an antiseptic wipe just for small cuts. And in this kit I've also added a sheet of Steri-Strips, slightly cut down to fit, and these are lengths of tape that stick to the skin and will close a deeper cut until you can get it properly looked at. It's just like a piece of paper in here, and so it takes up very little space. And then also new for this kit are these glasses from Glens. Now these are just for emergency use, and they come in different reading strengths, and these mean I can read my phone if I lose my glasses, without which I'm really stuck. Now often my kits include these thin optics glasses, but even these are too bulky for this kit. And in the original kit I used a Fresnel flat magnifier, which works by holding it up to my eye, but these are much better, and of course they are hands-free. Now they're tiny, as you can see, and they are not what you would call a good look, but they are surprisingly effective for emergency use, and they are a great addition to the kit. In the lid I still have 2 types of tape. The self-amalgamating tape here is the same as before. Now it's a bit strange if you've not used it before. You peel off the backing and then it stretches, and it's tacky, not sticky, but it does fuse to itself, and that makes a quick temporary fix to a leaking pipe, or to seal exposed wiring, or for holding things together with tension but without sticking. And I've changed the black Gorilla duct tape for a large single strip of gaffer tape. Now they are similar, but the gaffer tape does not leave any sticky residue behind, which can be a real bonus. And you can cut this large piece of tape into the size you need. Now as an example, my glasses fell apart on a trip to Mallorca this year, and I lost the bespoke screws. So I used the tape to create a tape hinge to hold the arm on until I got home a few days later. At the time I was still using duct tape, and yes, it did leave a sticky residue, so this should be a better option. For the pen I've kept with the Minimo. It's a perfect fit for the tin, and I'm not aware of another option that is this thin but still good to write with, and it uses a retractable and replaceable D1 refill. Zip ties are also, as before, always useful. Just 3 in here, kept neat in some heat shrink tubing and cut to fit the tin. And then new, tucked away in the bottom here, I've added a largish sewing needle, which I'm going to come back to. Carried over from before, I have this compressed towel, which I've taken out of its packet to reduce bulk, and when you get this wet it expands to a decent sized cloth for wiping and cleaning, or for mopping up spills. At the top right side of the Altoids tin here I have some meds that I might need on the go. Now for me these are for pain, allergies and a stomach upset. Now in the last kit I used this small tin for the meds, but I found it took up too much room in this particular kit, so here the meds are loose, although confined to this corner. That does mean I can keep them in their original packaging, something frequently mentioned last time in the comments, which identifies them clearly, keeps them sealed, and it also looks a lot less dodgy than a tin full of random white pills. Now, before we get into the next item, I want to give a quick shout out to dbrand, who I'm delighted to say are the sponsor of this video. Now, I've just switched phones to the iPhone Air. I wanted that lighter weight coupled with the bigger screen, and of course I want to keep it protected. And with that in mind, dbrand have just released one of the wildest iPhone cases I've seen. This is the dbrand Tank, and whereas most cases out there are built to emphasize the thinness of this phone, this one is built to protect it, and the iPhone feels pretty indestructible in here. There are 10 different layers of texture across the surface here. It's tactical and it's tactile with ridges, grooves and grip points, meaning this one is not going to slip through your fingers. And the anodized metal buttons are recessed, and each one has a different texture, so your fingers know exactly where to go. They're also satisfyingly clicky and swappable, with 3 custom packs offering 3 different colors in each pack. This one is the Napalm selection. And using the strongest magnets ever in a dbrand case, the Tank holds on super tight to all your MagSafe mounts and accessories. The case is lightweight, and the overbuilt edges protect the front glass and the camera from falls and surface scratching. In fact, the only element still really exposed is the screen, and if you want maximum protection for that from impacts and scratches, then dbrand have a solution for that too. The Prism 2.0 screen protector comes in a pack of 2 with this idiot-proof tray that enables ultra-precise edge-to-edge and dust-free installation, and it's made from tempered scratch-resistant glass with optical clarity and a fingerprint-free oleophobic coating. The Tank case and Prism glass combined gives your phone a new level of invincibility, and dbrand are offering 42% off the Prism by bundling it with the Tank case, and also their Ghost and Grip cases too. Just follow the link in the description and use the code JohnGadget. And if your AirPods Pro 3 are suddenly feeling a bit vulnerable, then dbrand have a solution for that too with their new grip case. It's grippy, as you might have guessed, with military grade impact protection, and it can be customized with your chosen skin insert, and it comes complete with a lanyard and a removal tool. I'll put all the links in the description down below. Now back to the kit. Now, I'm a big fan of keeping some line or cord in here for fixing and fastening, or perhaps for use as an ad hoc clothesline when away. And in the past I've used this micro cord, and most recently in the last kit I've used a thinner Dyneema thread, which is one of the strongest and lightest fibres that exist. And in the last kit I had 10 feet of this, but for this kit I've gone even thinner. This is super thin Dyneema thread, and yet it will still hold 40 pounds or 18 kilograms in weight, and it comes in this dispenser which very usefully has this removable reel which holds, would you believe, 50 feet of thread, which is 5 times that of the original kit. And I should mention it only costs around £5 or dollars. So with this reel I can carry a lot more for less weight and bulk, and to keep it from unravelling I've wrapped a heavy duty rubber band around it, which is also a nice addition to the kit. And the other benefit that comes with such a thin and strong thread is that it can replace the sewing kit in the original setup. All I need to do is to add a decent sewing needle, which I've already shown you, and I'm now able to fix much more than before, like failed bag straps or perhaps broken stitching on leather bags, along with shoes and clothing, which is going well beyond the capability of the original kit, and it will of course still sew a button back on. And there's also room in here for a safety pin or 2 carried over from the original kit. And with that 50 foot of line in mind, this small magnet also remains from the original kit, primarily for magnet fishing various items that have been dropped into unreachable places. A bit niche, I know, and I haven't used it in anger yet, but it takes up very little space and it could be a lifesaver. Being able to charge your phone in an emergency is a key requirement, I believe, and I would love to include a power bank in this kit, but finding one that will fit is a real challenge. Now the 2000 milliamp hour Tau 2 here will go in, but leaves little room for much else. And something like this flat house gang 2500 milliamp hour is just way too big. However, thanks to the comments in the original video, I did come across one option that would potentially work, called the Batterix Power Card. It's 1600 milliamp hour, credit card sized, and 3 to 4 cards thick, and good, we're told, for about 3 hours of talk time. But it is single use, and the reviews on reliability are really not great, making it hard to recommend. It costs around $14 in the US, which is doable, but it is closer to £30 in the UK, which ruled it out for me. So I'll keep on looking. A charging cable, though, I would say is essential. The point here being that you can usually find a USB charging source for your phone when out and about. USB sockets are often available for use on trains and planes, or in cafes or fast food outlets, as well as libraries, shopping centres, airports and many other public spaces. And I've looked hard at the options for a compact cable, but I couldn't find anything more compact than the lever gear solution from the original kit, except this time I've upgraded it to USB-C from the original Lightning one. Now this comes in a keyring friendly case with a micro USB adapter and also a SIM card ejector, but I don't need those, so I've ditched them to save space. The lever gear has a USB-A plug, which makes sense as most public USB sockets have not yet been upgraded to USB-C. However, just in case you are presented with a USB-C option, I've included this from Ugreen, which is a USB-C to A adapter, which is a new addition for the kit. Another new addition is this. This is a USB-C to C anti-juice jacker adapter. And this was something the community in the previous video mentioned a lot. The problem is that there is a risk when plugging your potentially unlocked phone into a public USB charging socket that the connection may have been compromised by a bad actor giving them access to your phone data, like plugging your phone directly into a hacker's computer. So not ideal. And to remove that risk, you need to use a cable like this one, which I've shown previously on the channel, which I carry as part of my travel tech kit. Now this cable only passes through the power connection and isolates the data connection. And this USB-C adapter here does exactly the same thing, but in a tiny form, making it a great new addition to the kit. The next element is always the most difficult, and that is what tool to include. Now in the original kit I had the small Leatherman Micra with a mix of multi-tool features combined with a Victorinox Bantam, primarily for the larger knife. However, a lot of people in the comments correctly pointed out that this created quite a bit of duplication. So for this kit I've swapped out the Leatherman and Victorinox for this, the Nextool Mini Flagship, which I reviewed earlier this year and which for the size is really hard to beat. Now we have some great scissors here, as well as some mini pliers which offer a really good level of precision. There is a 2D Phillips and a medium flathead screwdriver with a double file alongside a bottle opener, can opener and a sharp slip joint blade at just under 2 inches, making it legal to carry in most places including the UK. All in all, a great tool selection and great value too at around £30 or dollars. Now the overall quality here, whilst arguably not being at the Leatherman and Victorinox level, is still very good and more than adequate for this kit. I carry a lighter in here, which is good for lighting candles, lighting open fires, barbecues and fire pits when away, and sterilising that needle for removing splinters and melting fraying cord and so on. Now in the original kit I had the mini Bic lighter, which is a great option, but it does take up a lot of room and the oval shape makes it awkward to fit in the tin. And for those who prefer the mini clipper, that is even bigger. So I wanted another more compact solution. Now I've had this fuel and flint lighter for some time now, and what has surprised me when looking at options is that this is still working several months after it was last used. I had expected the fuel would evaporate in a matter of days like we see with a Zippo, but this titanium container is airtight thanks to the O-ring, so there is no evaporation, making this a great alternative with some useful advantages. And this in itself is a good option, but I know there are smaller versions of this, so I bought one. And it's this one here, the Split P lighter. and this one's in stainless steel, and as you can see it is a lot smaller. Also the cylindrical shape fits the kit better, and this is self-standing, which means you can work over the flame hands-free if needed, and it can also double up as a candlelight source for the odd moment or two. And with the lighter in mind, the mini 7mm glue stick is also back, and when held over the flame of the lighter for a few seconds it produces good amounts of quick drying hot glue which will stick most things. And I find this a better option than a mini tube of super glue which I've used in the past, which I found can go off in the tube, so it's useless when you come to need it, and it's also larger and more limited in what it can stick. Another essential for the kit is an emergency flashlight or torch. Now the criteria here is it has to be small, but it also has to be good and reliable, and it must be super simple to use. Now I'm keen to avoid the ones with a rechargeable battery, even though they are more powerful, because they can suffer from parasitic drain over a few months, meaning they can be dead when you need them. An AA powered flashlight is too big, but a AAA flashlight offers about the right balance, and looking at all the options I can find brings me back to the one from the original kit, the Olight i3E. Small and light, bright enough to light your way with a simple twist on, and no danger of accidental activation. Let me know in the comments if you can find something better, but keep an eye on the size. I have though introduced one change with this. A lot of comments in the last video drew attention to the fact that alkaline batteries, as good as they are, can leak, with some users experiencing a destroyed flashlight welded shut by a corrosive chemical release. So I've changed the battery in here to a lithium version. It's more expensive at around £2 or $2 each, so about double the price of alkaline, but it offers more power for a longer duration and has a 25-year shelf life and is guaranteed leak proof, which nicely solves the problem. Okay, let me show you how it all goes back together. And as we've seen before, everything has its place, and once you've done it a couple of times it becomes clear where everything goes, and there's even a tiny bit of room to spare. And as a final upgrade, I've changed the original, what you might call flimsy elastic bands used to keep the lid closed and for general use, to something much more substantial. These are bigger, stronger and more durable, and I've included two in case you need to use one. And there you have it, a huge amount of capability in a super compact kit which weighs in at around 180 grams or 6.5 ounces. And that's it, my new and improved Altoids Kit version 2. Let me know what you think, and your comments can hopefully inform the next version. Oh, and if you haven't seen the original kit video, then I'll link to that one right here. And that's it for now. Thank you as always for watching, and I hope you can join me for the next one.